Pricing is one of the biggest struggles for sewing keepsake artists. Many start out undercharging because they feel guilty about asking for money. They worry about scaring away customers or simply don't know how to calculate fair pricing. The result is burnout, frustration, and a business that barely covers the cost of materials. But here's the truth: your time, skill, and emotional labor have value. You are not just selling a stuffed bear or a quilt. You're providing a deeply personal, handcrafted keepsake that holds sentimental value for families. Your pricing should reflect that. In this episode, we'll walk through how to confidently set your prices, communicate your value, and ensure your business is profitable. Welcome back. I'm Stephanie Grahams, your host of the Sewing Keepsake podcast, CEO, founder, and instructor at the Keepsake Business Academy. And today is pricing your keepsakes with confidence, how to charge what you're worth. So, why pricing matters for your success. Setting the right prices isn't just about making money. It's about sustainability and respect for your craft. When your pricing is too low, you end up 1, working for pennies per hour, 2, feeling exhausted and resentful, which leads to burnout, and 3, customers may perceive your work as low quality or not valuable. On the other hand, when you price confidently, number 1, you attract customers who value and respect your work. Number 2, you can afford high quality materials and tools that make your keepsakes even better. And number 3, you build a sustainable business that supports you financially. Many keepsake artists struggle with the mindset that charging higher prices is unfair to grieving families. But remember, fair pricing allows you to continue offering this service for years to come. So how do you do this? What goes into pricing fairly and confidently? Well, step 1, you need to calculate your true costs. Before setting a price, you need to know what each keepsake actually will cost you to make. Many artists only consider the price of extra fabric or thread or the safety eyes, safety nose, etc. But there's more than that that factors into your total pricing. Here are some ideas of what you need to include. Try to write this down, grab your notebook, or if you've purchased any of my PDF books that are in my Etsy shop, grab those, write this in the margins, and that way you have it in one place. For reference, it'll save you time. So number 1, materials. Think long and hard about this. We use fabric. Sometimes we do use fabric. I know in my situation, several situations, I've had to use fabric off the bolt to help compensate for the lack of clothes that the customer had. For an example was a newborn going home outfit. The baby was born sleeping, and the family wanted to use the outfit the baby was going to wear home, and they wanted that outfit to be made into a memory bear that they could give to the grandma, because the grandma had purchased the outfit, and that particular outfit had been used for 2 or 3 of her previously born grandchildren when they came home from the hospital. And when this new baby was born asleep, the family and the grandmother decided that they were no longer going to pass that outfit down, but they wanted to have a unique way of memorializing and remembering the granddaughter that was born asleep. The thing was, they wanted an 18-inch memory bear, and the outfit was only newborn. So I laid out the pieces, used every single inch of that outfit, and still ran short on 2 panels of the memory bear. And I reached through my fabric scraps and I asked the family if they were okay with me utilizing some of this fabric. And of course, I sent pictures and showed them the design layout, and they thought it was brilliant. They loved it. Turned out beautiful. They were very happy with the end result. So Number one is materials. Think about fabric. What about thread? You don't use just one type of thread for every single keepsake. There's all kinds of specialty threads and color schemes. Now, I know at the Keepsake Business Academy, some of my students use a gray tone thread because it's universal. It's not as bright as white or cream, and it's not as dark as black. So they use a light gray, and that is an option. However, sometimes it's not an option, right? If you're using reds and pink fabric and dark blues, obviously you're not going to want to use gray. So think about the different colors and weight of thread. Then we move on to polyfill. Not all polyfill is the same. Some customers like super squishy, stuffing in their keepsakes, right? Others want a more stiff, solid feel to their keepsakes so it can sit on a shelf. So think about the different types of polyfill that you may need to have in your inventory. Now, what about embroidery supplies? Whether you hand embroider or you use an embroidery machine, there are different types of supplies you need for that. Different types of needles, different types of embroidery thread or embroidery floss, or whatever it is you're doing. And then move on to packaging. You can upcycle boxes, and that's what I do in my business. I am a green business. I won the Green Business Award here in Ohio a few years back because of my recycling practices when it came to fabric, boxes, packaging supplies, and ink for my machine, my inkjet machine. So go through your inventory. What is it that you use? One thing that we do in the keepsake sewing industry is I think we get so used to sewing a keepsake, we really forget the inventory, the materials that go into this. So write it down, keep your inventory list. I update mine on a quarterly basis, and it includes everything, all the needles for my specialty machines, all the threads. When I use hand embroidery floss, those little tabs that you wind the floss on. I write those down because when I use paper, they wear out, they get bent, they get ripped. And then the plastic ones, they also can wear out. So really keep a good inventory list. Okay, number 2 is time. How many hours does each piece take? Don't forget the consultation time, the design time, the sketching time, cutting, measuring, sewing, stuffing, hand finishing, and packaging. Write down. Really, really dig your heels in deep and pay attention to the time you're spending on every single keepsake that you offer in your store. Number 3 is overhead cost. Nothing's free, right? Think about your sewing machine maintenance. Any of the software you use for your sewing machine or your quilting machine. What about your Cricut? If you use a Cricut or a Brother machine, I have a Brother machine. Think about software for invoicing. What about your self-hosted website? Do you have hosting fees every month? I know I do. And obviously additional website fees, whatever that is. Electricity. Do you have to rent workspace? Do you have to rent a long arm machine? Think about everything that's an overhead cost for you. Number 4 is business expenses, advertising, business cards. If you're a vendor anywhere, shipping materials, write it down. So I'm going to give you a very generic cost breakdown. And please understand when I give this example to you, it is very, very generic, please. So in this example for a memory bear, let's just say you're making an 18-inch memory bear, right? Which is often called the original memory bear. Let's say you use $10 in materials because it's a little bit of fabric, some stuffing, the thread, the eyes, and the nose, right? Because I did the cost analysis for plastic eyes and noses, and I paid 3 to 10 cents per one, just depending on the size. So anyways, materials, say you have $10, and let's say it takes you 5 hours. Okay, so this is time, under time. Let's say it takes you 5 hours from processing the order. You're going to do a sketch and design and get approval. Let's say you want to make $20 an hour. Right there, you're at $100 just in time. Then you have overhead or a business cost, and let's just say it's $10 per item, not per order, per item. There's a difference between per order and per item. So let's say your overhead and business cost is $10 per item. Right there, you have a total cost of $120 per bear. So if you're only charging $50 per bear, you're losing money instead of making a profit. And the IRS is going to look at you, most likely, in my opinion, as a hobbyist, because you're losing money, and a business is not supposed to lose money. Please remember that. Okay, we're going to go on to step 2. Determine your profit margin. Once you know your cost, you need to add a profit margin. This ensures you're not just covering your cost, but you're actually making money. So ways to add profit to your pricing is 1, cost plus pricing. Add a percent markup, like 50% or 100% on top of your cost. If a bear will cost $120 to make, you might charge $180 to $240. And before you roll your eyes and say, this lady doesn't know what she's talking about, trust me. And the last 10 years of focusing on memory bears and keepsakes, you would not believe how many specialists there are in our industry charging $180 or more per bear. So please don't underestimate your time, your skills, and your talent. Number 2 is hourly rate model. So you can do the cost plus pricing, right? That's one way. Or the next one is hourly rate model, where you pay yourself an hourly wage and you include that in the price. If you want to make at least $25 an hour and a bear will take 5 hours, you would have to charge $125 plus the cost of materials plus overhead. Okay, so now we move on to market comparison, and this still is ways to add profit to your pricing. All right, you can look at other keepsake artists, what they charge, but don't undervalue yourself to compete. Let me rephrase that, or let me repeat that. Look at what other keepsake artists are charging, but don't undervalue yourself to compete. If other artists are charging $150 to $250 per bear, price yourself within that range. A good rule of thumb is to never price lower than your costs plus 50% profit margin. So if you're going to condense everything under the profit, determining your profit margin under step 2, here's a good rule of thumb, and I'm going to repeat this. A good rule of thumb is to never price lower than what it costs you plus 50% profit margin. Okay, moving on to step 3, communicate your value to your customers. One reason many artists undercharge is fear. Fear that the customers won't pay higher prices. But the truth is, people pay for value, not just materials. So what are you really selling? What are you selling, right? You're not just selling a memory bear. What you're selling is, number 1, a deeply personal, one-of-a-kind keepsake. Number 2, you're selling a way for a grieving family to feel close to their loved one. You're selling your time, expertise, and craftsmanship. And you're selling peace of mind that that family's precious fabric is in trusted hands. Please write that down. Put that in front of you, because on days that you feel like you're not getting anywhere or that you start doubting yourself, when you look up and you remember what it is you're selling, you're actually providing these deeply connected keepsakes. People will pay for that as long as the workmanship shows. Okay, so how do you justify your prices to customers? Okay, so write this down with a big X. It costs $200 because it takes a long time to make. Don't say that. Don't tell people that. You can just kind of keep that in your own mind. Okay, don't position yourself to look like that type of creator. I've been there, I've done that, I've made that mistake. It turns people off, it leaves them confused, and they don't care about your time. People don't care about your time when it comes to a keepsake. They care about what you're giving them. So don't say, oh, it costs $200 because it takes a long time to make. They don't care about that. And instead, say each bear is handcrafted with care, using expert sewing techniques to provide your loved one's memory in the most beautiful way possible. Every detail is customized to honor their story. That's how you position yourself. That's how you can answer when somebody says, I can't afford your prices, or that's really expensive. Tell them, well, this item is handcrafted with care. I use details. I use high quality products. I make sure that the sewing studio is sanitized and clean. And you want to give them peace of mind. The last thing you want is for a customer to say, I got my product back and it was filthy. That's why I have policies in place in my own keepsake business. Okay, so when you position your pricing as a reflection of quality and emotional value, customers are more willing to pay. All right, number 4 is set your pricing for different budget levels. Okay, so maybe your customer can't afford a $180 memory bear. Okay, or maybe that's not even your target market. Maybe that's not who you're serving. So you don't ever want to undersell your work, but offering multiple pricing tiers can help you serve different customers. So here's an example and again, this is just generic. Take this information and use it for you and your customer base. Here's an example number 1, a standard memory bear, $180, which is a simple design with basic features. The next one would be deluxe memory bear, which is $250, and that has embroidered name with custom details. Or number 3, a keepsake pillow, $120. It's a lower price option for those who can't afford a bear. Think outside the box. I wrote and published the only book that you might need for being a memory bear and keepsake business owner. They are in PDF forms and they are in my Etsy shop. So look for the link and you will see it. Please don't buy it from anywhere else. That means they probably stole it from me if it's being sold somewhere else. So let me get back here. So this way, the customers have a choice without needing to lower your value. You do not ever want to lower your value to meet the price of a customer. Step 5 is raise your prices over time. If you've been undercharging, it's okay to gradually increase your prices. Customers will adjust and new customers won't even know the old prices. So how do you raise prices without losing customers? Number 1, increase prices in small steps. Maybe raise it by $20 at a time. Announce the price changes ahead of time so customers can order at the current rate. And number 3 is highlight what's new or improved. If you upgrade your fabric choices or add a new feature, you've increased your machine options, let the customers know they're getting even more value. Most customers will understand, and the ones who don't were likely not your ideal customer. So remember, most customers will understand, and the ones who don't were likely not your ideal customer anyways. So the final thoughts, well, Price with confidence and know your worth. Pricing is one of the hardest parts of running a keepsake business, but you deserve to be paid fairly for your time, skill, and creativity. So here are the key takeaways. Number one, calculate your true cost, including materials, time, and overhead. Number two, set a price that includes profit, not just break even costs. Number three, communicate your value so customers understand what they're paying for. Number four, offer tiered pricing to serve different budget levels. And number five, raise prices gradually and with confidence. When you price your keepsakes properly, you're not just making money, you're creating a business that will last. And that means more families can experience the comfort of your beautiful, handcrafted keepsakes for years to come. Thank you for joining me on today's podcast. I'm Stephanie Grams, CEO and founder of the Keepsake Business Academy.com, master memory bear and keepsake maker at OhioMemoryBears.com. And you can learn more about me and the personal side of my life at StephanieGrams.com. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this podcast with your sewing enthusiast friends. Have a great day.